Are you ready to explore the exciting tech world like never before? Welcome to Better You, the podcast where we dissect the latest in business, technology, and startup trends, all with a keen focus on growth. So buckle up and get ready to stay ahead of the curve. Let's make you a better you.
This episode is brought to you by Propel Auth, the easiest way to make authentication your advantage. For B2B SaaS companies, great authentication is non negotiable, but with Propel Auth, it's more than just functional, it's powerful. With tools like managed UIs, enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, Propel Auth adapts as your product grows. And the best part, when Auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Check them out at www.propelauth.com. That's www.propelauth.com. So, folks, welcome to another exciting episode of Better You. Today, I have a very good friend and a very talented woman. Her name is Genie, or I call her Genie, and she is actually a mix of many skills. The way I see her, primarily as a violinist, she plays amazing violin. But in addition to that, she's also a yoga instructor. But then, when had a chance to hang out with Jeannie in person for a long time, then I had actually understood the journey she went through from a career point of view and also inspiring other people. And the way I'm planning to do this episode, I want to actually learn, I want to start with Jeannie's journey in music and then how she did the transition or how she's navigating from music to yoga and inspiring other people, kids, humans, as being a teacher in this space. So, Jeannie, you know what? I think the best way to we do this. Help me to understand, how did you start as a music teacher?
As a music teacher. I when I was growing up, sort of like my summer side job, or just my side job in general when I was a teenager, was teaching kids younger than me how to play the violin. So my teacher would be teaching other very small ones who would need a little bit extra help. So you could say I was sort of a tutor. And then, you go away to school, you would go to college, you do your graduate degree, and then I landed back in Chicago, and through a very circuitous route, I found that I was actually teaching at a school in Chicago. Um, and that's how I kind of landed on teaching. I did some teacher training. Yes, it's like Suzuki teacher training, and I found that very interesting and informative. But I never found that teaching was going to be the only thing I was doing. That wasn't going to be like my foundation in life.
Okay. Now let's take a step back. How did you get into this space? I do know the fact you were supposed to do something else, but then you challenged your comfort zone, you challenged a lot of people in your life, and you ended up in music. And I think this is where the growth part, because we all have dreams. Many folks, they don't follow their dreams because of the constraint by parents or financial constraint, many other limitations in life. So, Jeannie, I actually want you to share your story, that how did you challenge the circumstances and you ended up in music.
Um, So again, it's just through a lot of mistakes sometimes and a lot of growing. I think the question of what do you want to be when you grow up is just approached so just too young in life. And I guess I never really knew that answer. Of course, being the child of Asian parents, they want, you to be a doctor, lawyer, and engineer. Those are like your three choices. However, violin was always my main thing that I pretty much did morning, noon, and night. And I started when I was 4 years old. But just like anything, you go through your ups and downs, even in the arts. You grow to love it, you grow to hate it, you don't want to do it anymore, you might return to it. And when I was in high school, I found myself in a spot where I really was not enjoying the violin. So as I was studying, I wholeheartedly thought I was going to go to med school, but yet I still applied as a music major, because if you want to go to Rice, you can't do a double major. You can sort of like expand how many hours you want to take and maybe take a fifth year to do another major, I think, but you can't really be, especially you can't be another major with a music if you're in the music program. So I was a music major taking a lot of biology and chemistry courses. And because I finally moved out of the Midwest and I was, kind of changing my horizons and meeting a lot of new people, getting new instruction by just a host of new teachers, I found myself really loving music again, um, to a degree that I had not ever, explored or happened to me before. So it was at a music festival in Maine, Blue Hill, Maine, Kneisel Hall, where I was just playing chamber music. And then there was just a moment where thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to make a go at music. And that's pretty much what happened. So I switched everything over to music and ended up going to graduate school and even studying abroad.
Wow. Um, what was the conversation look like that when you went to your parents, your family? Hey, folks, I'm gonna drop this whole med thing, which I was thinking, and now I'm gonna go into this direction. I'm sure, as a being a part of the Asian family, that's even more difficult.
Oh my gosh, it was horrible. Also being an only child, it was not the easiest. Um, but also in the end, through a lot of growth, I have to credit my parents a lot of growth on their part as well, and just really trying with me. Um, they came to understand that maybe at heart, this is who I'm supposed to be. I think still to this day, if I were to choose a field, I mean, in this crazy circuitous route that I took, after studying abroad, I did land back in Chicago, not really knowing what I was going to do. And I did actually take the LSATs as well, thinking maybe I'm just going to go to DePaul and just teach violin part time and do a 4 year in law school. And then also realizing, why am I doing this to myself? I'm still trying to like please my parents at the same time, or please some part of myself that wants to please my parents and think that a stable career is the only career, not realizing that music can also be a really demanding, stable career as well. So I kind of tossed that aside. And then I went, all full in on finding out how to develop my music career.
And I think this is where you can teach, you can inspire so many folks on this episode, that when you have a dream and you want to chase it, there is a risk that you have to take, because we all love our comfort zone. And I don't know, how old were you at the time? And how long did it take you to get to the point where you are right now? Maybe you can share up some part of the story. Let's say somebody's listening and want to, may not want to go into the same career choice, but a different career choice. So for example, for me, I want to be a full-time podcaster, right? But I have my day-to-day job, so I have to take care of a lot of other things. But this is something I want to pursue someday full-time. But there are a lot of fears I have. And I think this is where I found you really inspiring personally to me, where I said, oh wow, you actually took the leap, and then you went out and you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I think maybe you can teach us, like, what is that one thing where you say, you know what, F it, I'm going to just do it.
So it's never just one thing, right? It's taking many leaps. You're always going to make steps, small, big steps along the way, and then you'll find that you come to maybe a crevasse of some sort where you're really going to have to make a leap. And how do you make those ends? How do you leap across to that other side? So after again, I set aside the weird law thing. I call it the weird law thing. And I was teaching in Chicago and I wanted to do a whole lot more playing. But I found the one thing that was really holding me back was being in Chicago. Um, I love it as a city, but truthfully, in my heart, I never wanted to end up there. It was to the point where I was working with other groups in Columbus and Madison, and I was thinking, well, maybe I should just move somewhere else in the Midwest. And those were actually some options until another friend came in and said, well, that's ridiculous because you belong in California. I think you'll really love it there. And when he said that, I was thinking, yeah, that actually sounds right. You know, when something really resonates as correct with you, you might make some steps forward, but they also might be some lateral sidestepping that, you're just trying to jostle around until you find your footing, right? But California seemed right. And I thought to myself, just the same way I moved to New York and at one point I moved to Germany, I should just do it because no better time than the present. And also, when else? There's no great time, right? There's no perfect moment in doing anything. And you're never going to have a perfect landing, and nothing is going to just settle into place. So I quit my job at the Music Institute of Chicago. I made plans for about a year or so, kind of just trying to set things into place, traveling back and forth from California a lot, meeting a lot of people, taking auditions. And I just finally made the leap and I moved. And that was really instrumental for me because then again, you're meeting a whole lot of new people, new groups. Just, of course, California is like this new land in terms of the whole United States. It's like its own entity. Everyone calls it its own bubble. So I found that it opened up quite a few performing opportunities for me. So I didn't teach music for a couple years. I just wanted to know what it was like to just be a full-time performer and freelancer.
Beautiful. Wow. Um, I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I will share the LinkedIn in my episode description too. I want to actually understand a little bit more about the tango violin. What is tango violin?
Tango violin. Oh,
Um,
I guess that's just what part of my LinkedIn said tango violin. I just wanted to establish that.
I got a little confused. I'm like, man, actually, I want to learn what is like it's a combination of tango and violin together, or it's a new term.
Oh, no, no. It's, I think, in tango group. So this is like probably my like like sort of a dream. Hopefully it'll come across. Right now it's not like on my front burner of plans that I want to do, but I would love to be a violinist in a tango band. And
Hmm.
in a lot of tango bands, it's comprised of violin, bandoneon, piano, and upright bass. And it's just a very cool ensemble of you have music, but there's a lot of improvisation, of course. It's all based on dance. It's a certain style. Just again, another outreach to another group of people, getting in touch with another culture. It's a very uh, nice style of music that I really connect with.
Nice, nice. I follow you on Instagram, and I always see these posts that you post. There are like lots of candles, and then you organize this candlelight concert. What is that thing?
Oh, I don't organize the candlelight concerts. Candlelight concerts is a concert setting organized by I think the Fever Group. Um, so they have candlelight concerts in many cities, actually across like globally now. You can find them all over Europe, Asia, and you can find quite a few in California happening on the same weekend. So they are called Candlelight Concerts. You can find them on Instagram, and they're run by the Fever Group. So they're fun. They're hour-long concerts. You usually do two a night, and they're thematic, whether I'm playing the music of only Vivaldi, which is Vivaldi Four Seasons, the music of Beyonce. One time I did a Bad Bunny concert. It is like a whole range of music.
Oh my God. I'm gonna look up some information because I love the whole setup, the candle setup. And second, of course, the music adds on and this amazing experience. I'm sure I can find something in San Francisco. And
For
if you
sure.
have any information, you can share it with me too.
Okay.
Um, you know, I I think I mentioned this to you. The whole idea of the episode is about BTSG, business technology, startups, and growth. And when I met you in person, when I learned about your story, there's a significant growth part where audience can learn a lot. And this is where I want to switch gears a little bit on the teaching and mentorship. It's not easy to teach folks music or anything rather, and also inspiring people, which you already did. To me personally, and as you moved from something else to the music full time. So Jeannie, when it comes to teaching in music, how difficult it is, how did you get into it, any advice that you have for the audience where they can actually leverage mentorship and teaching when it comes to music as a career too?
Teaching in music as a career. I would say I've come to peace with teaching in my own way. I taught for an after school program, and there's many ways that I think many platforms where you can teach. Maybe I should start out by saying where you're kind of in mentorship under someone and you're teaching at a school or you're teaching privately, you need to find the environment that speaks to you. And I found that while I thought at first that teaching in a school is what I wanted to do, I felt actually really constrained by that. So I now just teach privately, which I find a lot of happiness with, because then I don't have to be under an institution or just the perception of an institution putting a label on me as to what style of teacher I am. I can just gear it towards the student. And in terms of teaching music, it people want to get into a musical instrument. I teach mainly kids. I used to teach adults a little bit, but I teach mainly children. And of course, I would say half the time it's because the parent wants the child to learn an instrument. But when I interview parents and kids, I always try to make sure that the kids are at least a little bit on board. And if I'm really lucky, the child has been asking for lessons for over a year. Then I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good spot if they've been really asking for the lessons. And then when you teach, I think in the beginning, you tend to just take all students. And for me, if you're teaching children, it's not the teaching children that sometimes is the problem. It's the family that comes along with it, depending on the parental style. Are they helicopter parents? Are they totally hands off parents? So teaching the child is a lot about what is your relationship to the family and the parents, and are they with you? Is it the family you want to teach, not necessarily just the student you want to teach? Um, and that took a lot of figuring out, along the way in order of, for me to become the teacher I wanted to be and for a parent to be comfortable with my style, because then a parent will come to me and say something, well, you seem rather strict. Could you loosen up your teaching style for my kid? And I'm thinking to myself, I tried that. I really did. I tried to be, more complimentary and just like, how can I be more encouraging? And it's not that I'm not encouraging. It's just, whatever it is, the relationship is not going to work out. And I find that in the end, you should be who you are as a teacher. You should be comfortable with who you are, the style that you're presenting, and then families and students come to you and they will like it too. Yeah, you can grow as a teacher for sure, and you want it to be in a positive way. But if you find that they're really asking a lot from you to change the core of your teaching style, then it's just not going to work out. And it's okay to, you know, just encourage them to go into a different direction with
Yeah.
another teacher.
No, that makes sense. And I'm sure you do deal with a lot of helicopter parents, so that's why I think it's very. When I grew up in India and I used to be a tutor, and a lot of parents they will send their kids for the math. As I was a math tutor, and I was a very strict tutor because I will like literally lose. Hey, why can't you just solve this problem? I was very strict, and sometimes I will raise my voice, and so a lot of parents decided not to send their kids. And but eventually, as you said, right, kids every kid is unique, or every human being is unique. They adapt the situation or the teaching styles of a teacher. Actually, I want to talk to you about the mentorship. And do you provide any mentorship to the young adults, or folks who wants to do two things, want to go and get into music, and also, second thing which I want to talk to you about very soon is the yoga part. Like, where does yoga come into the picture? But before we go into yoga and wellness, let's spend a little bit more time on the mentoring the young artist. So kids are there, but if young people want to come to you and want to learn, do you provide any mentorship?
I try to. So I will say that I'm a teacher also who's sort of known in the Bay Area who can set up young kids, meaning I can take them from very basic square one and set them up playing the violin and take them successfully into an intermediate platform, which means that I find that if a student has been with me for 4 to 6 years, honestly, especially when they're developing, into their own style, I usually help them go to another teacher after 4 to 6 years so that they can get a fresh point of view. I don't want them to go through burnout with me, and it's just the healthy thing to do. If I do start with a student that is a little older and going into high school, and they find themselves in the position of wanting to major in music. It's so hard because a lot of kids know that when they're very young, when they're 10 or 11. And some kids get to it their junior or senior year. And that's where I kind of go into a panic. And then I say, okay, well, we have to kind of go into turbo mode. Um, so that mentorship is really can be anywhere from, cultivating it through a couple of years to a crash course of, you know, really opening their world into other ensembles, introducing them to new teachers, providing them with a lot of information of how they can develop themselves into the most well rounded musician possible. It's not only about being in your practice room and practicing music all the time. Practicing, of course, is always going to be a large part of it, but you have to round out your education. It's not only music education of history and theory and, oral skills, but also what drives you as a person. Where does your creativity come from? I find that with my young students, unfortunately, as we get into this modern day and age, there are two things that have been decreasing among my teenage students. That is their ability to memorize things, memorize music. And the second is their expanse into creativity and what that means to them. And it's really um, a little bit sad for me because when I ask them what the music means to them, I kind of get these blank stares, deer in headlight stares, thinking, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, start with the big three, happy, sad, or angry. How are you feeling in this moment? What does this piece of music, how does this piece of music speak to you? And that type of development also takes a bit of time. And as I ask my students that question all the time as they're trying to learn a piece of music and present it for an audition or competition or performance, I always find myself asking myself the same thing just about everything in life. What is this situation presenting? What is this situation that is presented to me? How am I feeling in this moment? Is it happy, sad, or angry? And how can I go from there and get into the subgroups of how I'm going to cultivate this?
Oh my God, that's so brilliant. Like when you raised this question just now, or when you were just saying it, I was actually internalizing that question and I was thinking, yeah, actually, how does music feel to me? So let's say if I'm listening to, more jazz or more relaxing music, I feel more relaxed and happy. But if I'm listening to a rock music, I sometimes I get like, oh, And then and I love what you just said, and I think this is when I want to change gears. In this moment, how are you feeling? Happy, sad, angry, whatever the emotion is? How can you go from that emotion to a more positive experience, for more positive emotion? Jeannie, actually, I'm very curious on this journey. You went into music, and then there's another channel, Instagram channel I follow yours, where you doing yoga and meditation and more focus on wellness. Help me to understand, what is that feeling? How did you start? Why did you start? And how can we leverage that platform, or I can, or as an audience, we can leverage that platform and connect with you to be more peaceful?
Um, so I went into yoga teacher training mainly because I was becoming really unhappy with my career. I was, again, I was making those leaps to where I thought I should be leaping, but no one prepares you for the moment where you make the leap where you want to go. You get to that different land, you look around, and you're like, wait a second, this is not what I thought this was going to be. This is not what I want this to be. And why am I feeling so miserable in this moment? So, as I was making these leaps in music and performing with different groups, and um, really my career and my performance career was morning, noon, and night. And I think people have this perception as a musician, if I'm doing that, that should be great. I should be happy. But at this point, now I've been doing my job, I've been playing the violin for far longer than anyone is ever going to be with their job or their corporation or doing their field of work. Um, and I needed a reset, but I knew I needed a reset because physically, your body breaks down playing an instrument. The small muscle groups, they tend to get overused. I finally was getting into some repetitive stress injuries. And I was getting into those repetitive stress injuries also because I was super stressed. I wasn't addressing myself emotionally, but I didn't realize how much I was ignoring myself emotionally and until I started dealing with my physical issues. And then if I could improve my physical issues, I was becoming actually happier. I was feeling great. I was feeling better. And then I would go to these jobs. I would take a contract and it would make me miserable again. And I would just kind of be just not crippled, but I would just be saddled with back issues, arm issues. And I thought, why am I doing this to myself? And a friend colleague at the yoga studio that I teach at here in the marina introduced to me something called role model method. And it's part of this whole practice called yoga tune-up that was founded by this woman, Jill Miller, who lives in Southern California. So he started mentoring me in this practice called role model method, which is basically a practice of using what they call yoga tune-up balls and doing a series of like massaging with kind of like people always, take the foam rollers, right, and want to massage out their IT bands or back. These are a little bit different, like apparatuses, props that we use to do sort of a whole stretching class. And I loved it so much and I was feeling so great. I decided to do a teacher training down in Southern California. So I did a full like yoga tune-up teacher training for about 8 days. And then I just started teaching more and more at the yoga studio. And then so I was doing role model method classes. And then about a year ago, I started expanding into yin yoga classes. And for your listeners who don't know what yin yoga, it's a very slow form of yoga where you hold stretches and poses for 8 to 10 breaths instead of doing a whole flow series. So you can really stretch into your muscles. And I was incorporating that with the yoga tune-up balls. And finally, this year, I've added a couple other components. I've been doing a workshop with another friend, a colleague, where we do 2 hour workshops, probably quarterly, where she plays sounding bowls. And I will also do a yin series with her sounding bowls. And in this last workshop, and now with my classes, I have decided to add violin at the beginning and the end of my yin yoga classes.
Oh my God, so cool. Because I wanted to ask you the same thing, that are you combining this yoga wellness piece with your violin career and with your music career? And seems like you are combining those two pieces of your life, which is amazing. Hey, do you folks have any content on YouTube? Can we listen to it?
Oh, do you mean the yin yoga class?
Yeah.
Not right. Or sorry, go ahead.
No, no.
No, not right now. I'm terrible. Everyone asks me if I have a website, and I really should have a website kind of explaining the breadth of everything I do as like a musician. I also write music. I also, do these yin classes and rolling classes. And right now, I basically rely on my Instagram, but I promise you, Nick, I mean, you have a lot of like tech people. So if you're someone out there that can direct me to a person that can help me develop a website, because I don't have the time to like navigate Squarespace, because I've done that before. I've spent endless numbers of hours on Squarespace trying to develop a website. Please let me know.
I am happy to introduce you. I know so many people who can help you in a very inexpensive way to get your website out. Yeah.
Ah, thanks.
Um, so, look, it's very clear that you are living a very inspirational life, and you have put yourself out there. You're in public forum. You're sharing your music, your ideas, your yoga stuff. As we depart from this episode, any closing statements, anything you want to say to the audience, and also how can my audience reach out to you, connect with you? I believe you folks, you also do private events too. Is that correct?
I do private events. Again, a very good friend of mine, her name is Rachel Turner Haug. She has a company called Synchronicity Strings. Here's the thing, like I am a freelance musician. I wish I could do more organizing myself, but then I have a great connection of colleagues where we organize for each other, and she has a great event company for herself. So I mainly work for Synchronicity Strings, and we have a great core group of people. In fact, I'm not sure if I should mention this, but we're even doing a holiday party at Google this week. So lots of events, and I do enjoy doing the corporate events, weddings throughout the year as well.
Oh my God, love it. Jeannie, you spend time with kids, you spend time with young folks, you also spend time with a lot of adults. You are inspiring directly, indirectly so many people. um, Piece of advice, anything that you can share with the audience, whether it comes to career, it comes to music, it comes to yoga, wellness, life, peace in life, because you have lived a life, or you are living a life where you challenged your comfort zone, challenged your dreams, changed your dream, chased it, accomplished it. There's so much you can share. So um, any advice for us?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I would say in this moment of time, because it's just very busy right now, what I crave the most and where my best ideas and my most clearest options come to me is if I can find that moment of quiet and peace. If you find yourself sitting on the couch and staring at a wall, just continue to stare at that wall. Your body and your brain probably need that. Just be comfortable with it. Don't guilt yourself that you're not doing anything. Afford yourself that time to just clear your brain, your spirit of basically noise, all sorts of noise, outside noise, internal noise, and just allow yourself to come to center, because that's what I'm craving a lot these days. And then through that, hopefully internal quiet, the answer will appear.
Very nice. The inner stillness can get you to the path or to the answers that you're looking for. Very nice. I love that. Actually, I do meditate a lot. Like, so for example, when you were just saying this, wherever you are staring at the wall, I went into that inner stillness, and I detached myself for a second from all this, and I was able to focus on what you were saying. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Jeannie, so what's the best way to reach out to you?
At this moment, because I was having this interview with you, finally you can, I promise to keep my LinkedIn updated. But quite honestly, probably Instagram. Um, my handle is Pensy Preppy. It's an open Instagram account. I do it for fun and I don't close it because I like sharing with the world where I'm performing. And then I don't keep it up as well, but I am also at This Is How We Roll. We spell WIE, which is my last name. And I try to update it with all my class information and what I'll be doing in the yoga space.
Awesome. Jeannie, happy holidays. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, happy holidays to you. Thank you so much for having me, Nick.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Better You. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into today's topic and found some valuable insights to help you on your growth journey. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a review and share Better You with your friends. Together, let's continue exploring the exciting world of tech and business. Until next time, stay curious, stay innovative, and keep growing.